Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am tmosso@thewatchbox for pricing. Today we're discussing a 2023 launch that is a limited edition of 30 pieces in grade 5 titanium. Based on the 1995 Chronoswiss Opus skeleton chronograph, this is the Chronoswiss Opus Blue, also known as Grail Watch 5, the fifth product of a collaboration between Rake and Revolution magazine founder Waco and esteemed brands that he has admired through the years. So this is a very special edition envisioned by Way through a Chronoswiss lens. It's larger than the 1990s original. That was 38. This is 41 millimeters in diameter in CVD blue grade 5 titanium. The watch is 15.2 millimeters thick, 50.3 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip. It has a nice broad modern 21 millimeter lug spacing. We'll throw the watch on my wrist. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and the watch wears well. It is large. These thrusting Chronoswiss lugs, which jut out, do have a little bit of a curvature to wrap around your wrist, though you can see that it's pushing out to the limit here. I would say that if your wrist is 16 centimeters circumference like mine or larger, you can wear this watch easily, and it just comes down to aesthetics. If the wrist were any smaller, the lugs would be overhanging, and you could see that in the down the barrel shot. This is a good fit ergonomically because the watch, all sapphire textile and titanium, is feather light. But I think aesthetically you need a 16 centimeter circumference wrist for this. Taking a quick look, you can see it'll fit underneath a jacket cuff, just not the tightest of dress sleeves. The strap that's fitted is textile and thick cut. You can see it has a stitched pattern on the top, a sheer side that's incredibly broad. It's wonderfully compliant. It almost feels like rubber. And then on the bottom, there's a lovely synthetic suede material. Chronoswiss factory strap, OEM for this watch. No crimping, no gouging, water resistant. The watch is actually 100 meters, so you can take advantage of that water resistant strap. We have a buckle that Chronoswiss advises is actually made of CVD stainless steel to make it a little bit tougher and resistant to distortion than the titanium. And it's friction fit. You can hear it snaps with a positive closure and has the Chronoswiss logo externally. Taking a quick look, the strap's fitted to the case using screws and bars, which is a nice secure way of fitting a watch to a case. It's been done since the original Chronoswiss days under G.R. Long, the founder. He liked this sort of neo-antique case profile that I must say shares a few passing resemblances with elements of Patek Philippe history, such as the tasti tondi fluted buttons, or even Breguet with the coined bezels and the thrusting lugs. But because screws and bars are used to fix the strap to the case, you have more security than if it were a spring bar arrangement. You can also see how the CVD, or chemical vapor deposition, does a great job of evenly coating irregularly shaped objects. PVD, physical vapor deposition, tends to be line of sight, whereas chemical vapor deposition always involves a gas, so it can envelop a surface that's complex and coat that surface evenly. Also, it helps to preserve the definition of some of the differential polish. As you can see, we have vertical satination on the case flank, but then polish on the lugs, on the screws, the bezels, the crown, and the pushers. And we have that lovely Chronoswiss style onion crown. Now, we do have a dial that, well, let me just show you. The dial is entirely loomed, and the idea here is that you can see all the functions of the watch in the dark. So the sub-register tracks, the main hour and minute track, the hands, all luminescent. We also have a number of fun features. First of all, you might suspect that given the different indications present, this watch doesn't actually have a quick set, as it doesn't have a conventional date window aperture, but in fact it does have a quick set mechanism for the radial date at 3 o'clock, which is fun to play with. And then of course hacking seconds, because it uses a Valjoux 7750 architecture. Taking a quick look, you can see that the bridges and plates underneath have been engine turned and rose gold gilded. We also have some steel components. You can see, for example, elements in silver represent steel. Elements that are rose golded are rose gold plated brass. Turn over to the opposite side. You can see the movement has been exhaustively skeletonized. As with the original in the 90s, this is performed using electrospark erosion. That's how G.R. Long, the German founder of Chronoswiss, was able to create a skeletonized, complicated watch that could be purchased for merely rich man money as opposed to, well, oil shake money. This is a watch that is premium, but also used what was then a new technology to evacuate the bridges. And the nice thing about it is it's extremely convincing and creates an open and airy look where you can see down through the movement, almost like you're staring into the canopy of a forest. And especially with a layered automatic chronograph like a 7750, you could see each layer. You could see the rotor and its winding bridge. Underneath that, you can see the clutch and clutch spring. You can see the start-stop lever and hammer. You could see the cam. You could see the recentering hammers that reset the chronograph. You can see the cam spring, and you could see the reset hammer spring. So all of these elements that are normally either hard to see or completely obscured, you can actually see right here. Now turning back to the dial side, the watch is remarkably blue, and well, it's not easy being green, but this watch is kind of blue and better off for it. When you have the steel and silver, you have the rose gold gilding, and you have the blue, you have elements that are reminiscent, that is correct, of de Bethune, and this was more than a passing inspiration for Waco when he conceived this watch. So big and blue in homage to G.R. Long, yes, but also a little bit Denis Flageolet. Mechanically, well, let's talk about the water resistance. 100 meters, surprising for a watch like this. Automatic winding, unidirectional, because it is a 7750. It's got a 46-hour power reserve, stop seconds, a quick set date, beats away at a 4 hertz beat rate, and the 46-hour power reserve is on the high side for 7750s, which tend to be rated between 42 and 48 in stock form. And there's a lot to love. The watch features a very visible cam-based chronograph system, and you can see that right there. It also features an oscillating pinion. So if you're familiar with oscillating pinion systems, you know that they've come back into fashion with Richard Mille, de Bethune, and F.P. Journe. Every 7750 actually has an oscillating pinion system. It just doesn't get called out often because people say, oh, it's a cam chronograph, that's crude. Well, a cam chronograph is only as crude as the tuning of the system and the tolerances of the manufacturer, and this is a very, very crisp example. The oscillating pinion also allows a very precise operation as it has less play in it than a conventional lateral clutch. And you could see how I started the chronograph and it didn't jump into action. As an oscillating pinion, though it is a lateral clutch type of engagement, it has a small pinion activating a large wheel, which has very little inherent play, which is why an oscillating pinion has found its way back into high horology recently. It is a smoother system of activating a traditional lateral clutch, so lots to love. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this 30-piece titanium limited edition.